Now that's the same thing that the big hedge funds were doing with GameStop, right? They were buying puts on they had like billions of dollars tied up in puts for on GameStop. Is that accurate?
Yes and no. So the people that the funds that lost money were actually short the stock. Unlike the people that are on Wall Street Bets or a lot of these guys that are using Robinhood that are just retail traders and they have a few $100 or a few $1,000 to throw at it. Hedge funds have millions or billions of dollars. And so they don't need, there are some trade-offs when you use stock options. It's not all fun and games. You can lose a lot of money. And if you have the money to buy the 100 shares, you're better off buying the 100 shares than you are with buying the call. The call only helps you when you're broke, right? And you're really just trying to get rich. So the hedge funds don't need to use that. The ones that made the headlines, they were actually short the stock, so they went there and they bet that the shares would go down. And so those are the guys that you see in the news. But you're not entirely wrong in that there is a third participant that almost nobody talks about, which is the participants in the options market. There's every time that you buy a call, somebody has to sell it to you. And every time you buy a put, somebody has to sell that to you too. Most of the time, the people that sell it to you are also hedge funds. And most of the time, those hedge funds that sell you those calls or puts, they don't care if the stock goes up or down. They make money. They make, let's call it a commission or a fee whenever they sell you that call option, that pull option. And they have ways of not caring if the stock goes up or down, and then they have to pay you off if you ended up making money or whatever. They have ways to staying what's called delta neutral, and the mechanics of how that way of staying delta neutral also helped the entire movement and momentum to push the price of the stock up. So they don't care. The ones that sell you the calls and the puts, they don't care if the stock goes up or down. The hedge funds, they were straight up short the stock. They said, I'm going to short this thing. And the reason why they were short the stock is stock options have like an expiration date. So if you're not right by a certain date, you lose all your money. So the hedge funds have the luxury of saying, well, I don't know when GameStop's going to go down, but it's going to go down eventually. So I might as well not put an expiration date on it.
Do you think the purpose of making all this shit so confusing is just so they could manipulate it however they fucking want and make all the money they want without getting in trouble?
It is, but that's the beauty of it. I think that's the reason why this thing made so much news is because retail traders from their cell phones were able to pull the pants down on the complexity. It can be complicated. If you want me to really explain the nitty gritties of it, like I'll put you to sleep. But it's as easy as answering with that red arrow or that green arrow from your Robinhood account. Like that's all that they needed to do to realize, oh, okay, all I need to do is take the opposite side of the trade. You think it's going to suck. You think GameStop is going to go out of business because of coronavirus or whatever, because they're outdated. That's fine. I believe that you're wrong. And I'm just going to take the other side of the trade. And behind the scenes, there's all this complex shit that nobody understands, but they don't really need to understand. And that's the beauty of this. They prove the fact that you don't need to have your certification, your CFA certification or your master's in finance or whatever. You can just have to answer with the button, with the green one or the red one.
Right, that's what Robinhood did, right? They made it a little bit more transparent for like the everyday people to be able to play the game. But I'm talking about like originally, like the people on Wall Street. They initially wanted it to be super, super complicated by using all these crazy fucking words and terms and all this stuff just so normal people wouldn't be able to understand it before Robinhood, before shit like Robinhood or before the internet even.
Could be. I mean, I think that's just, I think it's effective. Like I'm currently getting into crypto and that's how I feel about that. They have their own lingo. They have their own kind of culture. You don't necessarily feel welcome right away. And, in the previous life, I was a volunteer firefighter. And when I started doing that stuff, they had their own culture and their own lingo and their own ways of trying to fit in. Everyone likes to have their little club. And I think that's just kind of like a fact of life. If you like a sports team, for example, you're going to wear those colors and you're going to know particular stats or whatever. And it's kind of a part of belonging to some community that it kind of goes with the flow. But as far as the complexity is concerned, it really isn't.
What was I going to say? You sold the rights to the story of the breakup between you and the guys who are currently in control of it can you tell me which studio you sold it to?
Yeah, it was Rat Pack.
Rat Pack.
It's public. Yeah, it's big studio. They did hundreds of movies that are really big.
So did they reach out to you like when this whole thing like sort of blew up on the internet?
Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting. I started getting contacted by all sorts of movie people, producers and writers and directors and studios, and this was far outside my understanding. The Hollywood business is completely foreign to me, and so yeah, so I started kind of lobbing the calls, and everyone was super helpful. There was one guy even wanted to try and secure me so bad he bought a flight to Mexico, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be there. My flight lands tomorrow morning. I'm going to take you out for some drinks, and we're going to sign this thing, right?" And I was like, "Dude, you should have asked me because I'm going to be out of town this week." So he came down to Mexico, and I don't know what he did.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, so I ended up talking to a lot of people, a lot of big names that you'll probably recognize. That worked on a lot of really prominent movies. A lot of people that ended up signing deals of their own with movie studios, and kind of hearing out their pitch and learning about how it works. And the most promising offer was this one from Rat Pack, so I just went ahead and took it.
Now, did those guys talk to the other guys on the other side of on the guys who are running the Reddit thread now?
It is a deep rabbit hole. There's so many people that are running the Reddit thread now, and in fact, the people that were running the Reddit thread then were different than the ones that are running it today. And by then, I mean January or February. Yeah, because there continues to be drama, some of it related to the original problem and some of it not. But essentially, I was at the top, and then there was, and the way that Reddit works is you create a subreddit, you're the top moderator, and you basically have full control. You can add and remove every moderator below you. You have full permissions. And as you go adding moderators, you can give them permissions. And even if you give them full rights so they can do whatever they want, they can't remove anyone that's above them as a moderator. So if there's ever a disagreement, whoever is further up the food chain is ultimately the one that's in command. And so the group of people that were left there before, there was some more infighting, and those guys, to the best of my understanding, they did speak to movie studios. And I don't know if anything happened with that. I think it also had partly to do with the fact that they too ended up getting removed by now this third group of moderators. So it's kind of the Wild West there.